Fragpunk has one of the coolest features I've seen in a game for new players, which is this settings menu called import and export settings. So if you just want a quick start, you're getting into the game for the first time, you want a competitive advantage by turning off all the annoying visuals on the game, turning on visual simplification, not to make your game look ugly, like I don't even turn this off all the way, but you want your minimap to look like mine, you want your crosshair to be set up like mine. I can simply just export my settings. I can choose which settings here. I don't have to give you my audio settings or anything, but I can give you my basic settings, my video settings, not my sensitivity or keyboard or anything. And I can export a code and you guys can just import that into your game. So if you want my settings exactly how they are, that'll be down in the description. Because I know the minimap starts out weird. It's like all small and then zoomed in too much to the map so you can't even see the other side and what's going on. Something you might want to turn off in the options though is character voice simplification, and this is just going to be for the announcer in the game. She likes to yap a lot basically when the bomb is about to explode and everything. She starts just talking and talking and talking. So turning that off will basically mute her for the whole game. I like the voice. I wish it still worked in the menus, but no, she just doesn't talk that much anymore once you turn that on. But yeah, it definitely helps with audio cues, especially when the bomb is counting down, because that's when she talks the most. They also need a character voice simplification for actual characters, but that's not in the game yet. If that ever comes, definitely turn that on so Jaguar stops yapping. All right, so first off, something I want to go over is that weapons actually have variance on swapping speed. Like as you can see, if you ever take out your knife, you are going to have a hard time taking out your weapon once you switch to it. So let's say we're rotating and we're holding our knife out just to rotate a little bit faster. If an enemy pops out around a corner, if we want to switch to our weapon, it's going to have a whole animation. I'm going to hold a left click to fire my weapon as soon as possible, but this is what it's going to look like. So it takes all that time to swap to your weapon compared to if you're rotating with like your secondary out, which in this case, swapping to your primary weapon, you're going to be able to fire it instantly. So this is what it looks like swapping between normal weapons, and then swapping to a melee, you have a whole animation, and then you take out a weapon, you have a whole nother animation. You can really notice it on these weapons with like crazy animations on them, like this Deagle skin that I have. So just standard taking out the weapon, and then swapping from a knife. You have to basically like build the weapon in your hand. So you usually want to take out your weapon before you think there's going to be an enemy around the corner. You can't really rely on sprinting with your knife out and then running into an enemy. It's just too dangerous in this game. And just to build upon this example, this also is a thing with character specific weapons like Axon's guitar. Swapping to it is going to be just like swapping to a knife. So once you go back to a normal weapon, it's going to have the whole reload animation basically. Something else that I've noticed in this game that not a lot of people have talked about is all the different types of movement options that you have. So first off, you have regular walking, right? Which in this game, it's called running, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so if you look at the weapons tab, you got crouch walking, running, sprinting. So running is just default, like pressing W here. None of the guns talk about the like slow walking speed. If I hold Alt to silence my footsteps, you can see my footstep radius on the map. And then I hold Alt. That'll, of course, silence your footsteps. Most people know about that, but crouch walking does the exact same thing. The weird thing is with a knife out, look at this. So rotating silently, this is your normal silent knife speed. But then when crouched, it's actually faster and still silent. So nobody talks about this, but it's very strange. So we'll do a silent walk here, and then we'll just swap to crouching. And you can see my character icon on the map speed up. You can see everything around me speed up. It is faster to crouch walk with your knife out instead of just silent walking. So especially if you're like holding this charged, you can see this, like this is crouch walking and peeking a corner compared to stand silent walking. Much slower than this. So if you ever want to save some time on rotates and trying to do it silently without like knife dashing around, crouch walk with your knife out. And then of course, rule one, take out your weapon before you think you're going to need it, because it's going to take a while to take out from your knife. Another thing you need to be doing, just stop buying these main pistols for the most part. Especially if you're going into competitive, you need to start using the blaster, the flasher, the smoker, and the burner. Mostly I use the blaster here. It's gotten me a ton of kills For some reason, the stat track on it, I think I have one on here. It doesn't count the kills you get with the frag grenade for some reason. Only if you like shoot people with it. But yeah, you can see lineups on the map very easily. The blaster, I think, got a little nerf, so it detonates mid-air more often now. So I don't think it's actually going to land and be short. Actually, it will. Okay. But you can especially see the minimap lineups with the smoker. You can see the smoke on the map. So that is very nice. You got to start buying these. They also are affected by the extra ammo shard card that puts a bunch of extra ammo in your mag. It'll give you up to like 7 or 8 nades, which is insane. Also, you can switch it to a lob mode, which I don't use too often, unless there's like a smoke on the ground and I want to clear it with a frag pistol. A lot of things in this game can clear smokes, hollow points of walls, circuits, tornadoes, anything that explodes really also. Also, some weapons have weapon attributes down here, such as the high life. It has, the weapon fires 3 bullets when hip firing. You can also check out the hip fire damage over here. The cure-all has the same exact thing. So if I hip fire with it, 3 bullets come out. Same with the cure-all. This is very good for jump shotting also. Basically just a shotgun, and it counts as a shotgun as well. So if you have Dragon's Breath, the shard card that makes fire come out of your shotgun, it'll count for the cure-all and the high life. These will both shoot fire. So if you didn't know that, they're actually pretty good to buy when you have Dragon's Breath, because then you have a sniper option, regular pistol options, and shotgun options. There's also way too many people that don't realize that every map has special features on it, such as Dongchen, the map that we're on right now. You can go up to this midpoint here and rotate the target sights. So you can actually just look at the mini map, but basically activate this, the map becomes night mode. Let's rotate over here. You can see everything spinning on the map, B site, A site, both rotating. This makes it really easy for you to get into the site and start planting right here, since you have cover on both these angles. But yeah, it changes up the map quite a bit. And then the defenders can go back to middle and rotate it again if they want. It also rotates the bomb with it, so be careful of that. It rotates traps that are on the parts of the site that rotate. But yeah, if the bomb is planted here, it'll rotate with the whole site and be pushed back there so that you can't defend it anymore. It's kind of scary. So that's something defenders can do. If the map hasn't been rotated before the attackers plant, just start rotating it as a defender, and then the bomb will be safe over here for you to defuse. Unless they change that in the future, or they've already changed it. There's been a lot of patches, but that's how it worked when the game first came out. Another thing, if you're an attacker and you're planting over here, just plant. You can plant back here, and then someone can rotate the site. If you know they're about to rotate it, it's kind of too dangerous to plant here, because then it'll be pushed over to the defender side. So you might just want to plant back here and have this push your bomb safely to right there. Another thing you might not have known about is the weapon accuracy in this game. You actually don't need to aim most of the time. You are perfectly accurate just like that. Now obviously if you're going to be moving, you do want to aim, because you'll be a lot more accurate if you ADS while shooting. While moving, you're just not going to be able to hit stuff like that. But if you don't have time to ADS, just standing still and firing is perfectly accurate for at least like the first 25% of your mag. Also, in most games like this, you have to stand still when firing with a sniper. So you have to or hit an input backwards. Like if I'm holding D here, you'd have to press A per second to be completely accurate. In this game, look at this. I could just keep holding the button down and be perfectly accurate. So while moving, as long as you're ADS, you're 100% accurate. That does not count while jumping though. I still hit him, but you know. Okay, this is luck. But yeah, peeking with the sniper is OP in this game. Never have to stop moving. Also, this game does have Omni-Movement, so you can sprint, not backwards or anything, but you can sprint sideways in this game. So if you're ever peeking like this, it's not too bad of an idea, especially since you can keep on moving and being accurate after you ADS. Yeah, you can sprint sideways in this game. That also works with like the Frozen Wasteland card. If you need to slide, you can slide sideways. And then with Axon's guitar, you can also slide sideways. just not backwards. All right, another tip here, if you are going to mantle on top of things, of course you can always knife dash up, but doing something like this, your character has to grab on and then you put your weapon away and then you have to take it back out, and that's gotten me killed way too many times. What you can do if it's a certain height like this is jump and crouch. You're going to want to turn off auto mantle, which is going to be like your first setting in general right here. Auto climbing, because if I did this, he would probably just grab onto the ledge. I have to tap space another time in the air to do that, so it doesn't get me killed as much. But yeah, jumping towards it and then just pressing crouch, your character goes up, still has their weapon out. It is much, much better than doing this and then doing this and then dying. And that also helps with getting on top of boxes like this. So normally you'd want to jump and then dash and then auto mantle or press space again midair to grab onto here. So jump, dash, grab on. But you can also just jump, dash, and then crouch, and you'll be up. Another thing to really get an edge on players in this game is that you got to start using your knife in combat. It is one of the best weapons in the entire game, and everybody gets one. It's your main rotate tool by knife dashing around the map, but it's also a one shot to everyone in the game, no matter where you hit them. Here's just a few clips of the knife absolutely saving me in the middle of a fight. While the enemy was busy reloading, I could have been reloading too, and we could have done another gunfight. But just swapping to the knife and charging it up ends the fights right there. Especially if you know there's an enemy just around the corner holding an angle with a shotgun or something. Trying to kill them like this usually takes a little bit too much time when you can just do this. You can even start the dash right before you hit the edge of the corner. And a lot of characters can actually recall their traps from across the map. So if you know the enemy are rotating, you can just grab Jaguar's traps like that and then replace them here. A lot of characters have that feature, and it is just super nice. Because basically no matter what site you're defending, you have traps on all of them. So placing your traps at one site and then rotating to another is probably the best idea for characters that can just recall them. One of the first things you should learn in this game as well is your character's specific voice lines. Which ability on your character activates a global voice line that the enemies can hear. So for example, if I use my this ability, my character talks across the entire map. Everybody can hear my exact location, where I'm at. So it's a very dangerous ability to just pop around a corner. They're gonna know you're about to peek the corner. Another person that does a similar voice line is Broker when he takes out his rocket launcher. Zephyr is probably one of the most noticeable ones. Every time she goes invisible, she starts yapping and giving out her position. So if you hear something in a certain direction, you could just start firing in that direction and you'll probably hit Zephyr. Sonar, also very noticeable. You'll hear it at the start of a lot of matches if there's a sonar, because she'll instantly start muting her teammates' footsteps. So if you're over here on A and you hear sonar dampening footsteps, you can hear it across the entire map. You can hear if she's dampening over at B main or wherever. So while it silences footsteps and doesn't let you know how many people are rushing an area, it does give out her position. And there's a lot of characters that talk with certain abilities. So just try to figure out right away before playing a character which ability is gonna have a global voice line. Another few Lancer specific tips is something like this with Chum, his tripwire. It looks like anyone that enters this radius, because most other gadgets, anyone that enters that radius triggers it, but it's actually a tripwire, so that's just the explosion radius, and this is the part that people have to hit to actually trigger the trap, which is very weird compared to all the other traps in the game, such as hollow points. Anyone that enters that radius is going to get tagged with this. I don't know why his is like that, but then also Spider has something very weird that I really hope they fix in the future. This one doesn't have a clear radius to it, right? So that's what it looks like. It just has a spider on the floor, but usually if someone enters like to right here, it'll hit them. So for Spider, I'm pretty sure you have to restart the game after you do this, so I can't see it right now. But if you turn your effects quality up to high, this should have a giant radius around it, just like every other trap in the game. So very strange that you have to do that specifically with Spider to see the radius, but if you're a Spider main, you might want to turn your effect quality up. Also, when turning on visual simplification, because it makes everything way easier to see, definitely don't turn off damage numbers. These help so much, you wouldn't believe it. So for example, when shooting through a smoke, there we go, you can see this someone right there. So it helps out a ton. If those damage numbers weren't on screen, you just get hit markers. You wouldn't know exactly how far the person is that you're hitting. They could be, if it's a wider angle, they could be way over there that you're getting hit markers on. But knowing that the damage numbers are popping up right there in the smoke definitely helps a ton. So don't ever turn off damage numbers. The thing, if there are doors blocking your path in this game, I can't show an example here because the enemy didn't close this door. But if the doors have been closed by enemies, instead of just shooting it open, you can actually go up to the door and do a hack mechanic, which you just hold F and it'll hack over about like 5 seconds, and then the door will open. It's a nice silent way to get past the door without having to just unload your entire magazine on it. Another really good thing with doors is if you know there's an enemy on the other side because you just saw them there and you know they're going to start hacking the door, or you know they're just running past because you can see them on the minimap or whatever. Something that you can do really quickly is charge up your knife, quickly interact with the door, knife them, and you can go back in. Or without even going back in, if it's just one enemy, you can just surprise them with opening the door in their face and knifing them. So just do that with a weapon, use the door as cover like this. But yeah, there's not an animation for opening doors or anything, so use that to your advantage. But yeah, I think that about covers the video. So let me know if any of these tips helped you out. If you would like to see a more advanced guide, definitely let me know down in the comments. And I also want to do a guide on shard cards. There's so many in the game, so many combos you can do. People don't often know what to vote for, especially if they're like the card master in competitive. So I want to do a guide on cool shard card combos, things you can do if certain shard cards pop up, what lancers to play, the differences between shard cards in ranked and standard, like the slot machine, how that interacts with certain shard cards. I want to do a video on all that, so stay tuned on the channel for that video. Subscribe, leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next video very, very soon.